Issue 271 Reboot. While it's more interesting to see Knuckles uppercut Sonic than normally punch him, I'm not surprised we even got to see him fight Sonic at all, since the story last time ended with Eggman targeting them before they'd hit each other even once. I'm not going to ignore the fact that we can't even see his fists actually impact him, so it doesn't make him pay for being too smug in this comic. I'd rather Sonic be nice most of the time like an Archie at this point. And while we do see a mark on his face, I'm willing to bet that like all the other times we saw marks on characters' cheeks from them being hit, the mark will magically vanish in the next panel, when the artists have been allowed to show bruises before without fan backlash or getting in trouble. And it wouldn't be very hard for the artist to remember to keep drawing it throughout the arc. And Rouge got her shoulder dislocated at one point. So there's no excuse for lacking even basic continuities within the same story like that. I ought to count those times as continuity errors, but I assume they're still supposed to be there in the story, and they just aren't drawn anymore. Well, it's also a bit more interesting that part of what hits Knuckles is Sonic's feet running into him. He must have had rings, because if he got ran into by his feet when they were in the figure 8 shape, he'd obviously be killed from Sonic Force without super fast healing. And again, I don't even get to see Sonic's fist hit his face, so there's no point. How the fuck did the artist of this arc not immediately realize that by drawing the fights like this, he was ruining the entire appeal of them? Normally I'd say I don't hate these characters enough to find them getting hit satisfying anyways, so I don't need it to happen, but Reboot Sonic mostly just a smug jerk who doesn't get called out on it. But Reboot Knuckles is at least level-headed and relatable, so I don't hold much of a grudge against him for the times he was an idiot. And him getting punched is generic. But still, 2 panels of them getting attacked in ways that are interesting. That's good. What the hell? Why are we seeing emeralds beside them? Oh, never mind. It's flashback panels to tell the total newbies to the franchise about their past fights in the games, at the expense of the hardcore fans. The only ones who'd actually buy the comic instead of just watching it in a video. This just wastes comic space for no reason. At first I was confused into thinking I was seeing them fight in the present on a screen because of its faded out coloring and yellow tint, because I've already seen a screen be red tinted before. And blue tinted. I have to wonder why Sonic isn't simply running around Knuckles and punching him over and over to win immediately and save us a ton of time. Fleetway Sonic did that to Knuckles just fine. Sadly, because the writer has weird priorities, the story immediately, inexplicably cuts away from the fight. So we see Scratch run up to Breezy, who has reading glasses on, and give her a green Chaos Emerald. I thought the emerald she had was the blue one. This is a world with robots in it. Why would there be a screen showing things in blue tints? I wouldn't have forgotten which color emerald you had if it actually mattered which emerald it is. Like, if they were associated with elements. Whatever. Anyways, it seems like there's a justification for why he found it. He was overseeing repairs done by that world-shattering quake. Wait, what? Repairs done by that world-shattering quake. You mean after, right? Anyways, it wouldn't feel so contrived and unsatisfying that he miraculously found this emerald if we at least saw him find it. Wasn't that common sense? It's already a really lucky coincidence that the emerald appeared where he wanted to find it. Sonic X had an episode where one of the emeralds was on the bottom of the shallow part of an ocean. But it's at least possible that he found this. Still, nobody did anything to earn such a major victory. It's not like anyone had to get into a fight for it. That would have felt more worth cutting away from Knuckles' fight to. Scratch wasn't shown having to fight a crab for it, or crab meat. So what's the point of showing this? It could be Breezy finding the emerald for all the difference it makes to the plot. While I like that the SSS squad is shown as in character by all insisting that they deserve the sole credit for finding it. Normally I'd complain about being annoying filler. I think it came off that way in AOSDH. But here I'm just glad Flynn's showing he remembers their actual personalities. So it's like actually using the characters. And it's heartwarming that now they want Breezy's approval. So it's like she's actually being thought of as a new parental figure by them after they tried to impress their father Eggman before. Breezy may do anything for money, but she's still harmless compared to Robotnik. So it's good that they found someone better to fight for the approval of. Like they're acting like children in a sibling rivalry. But there's something sweet about that. It'd be even more sweet if she said that she loves them all the same, though. And it must be emphasized, after Breezy was completely misinterpreted, it's good that their personalities were remembered after they stopped working for Eggman like it was nothing, and stopped fighting Sonic with no big deal being made. Not even showing one scene where they first left Eggman and went to work for Breezy instead. I'd rather see that than the confusing scene where she fell for Metal Sonic and nothing came of it. I don't even remember these guys arguing under Flynn before. Maybe it was just too forgettable. I'm really glad that in the comic, after AOSTH, they're not working for Eggman anymore, and they're working for someone who doesn't mistreat them. It's so satisfying. It's like, that's a sequel. Breezy takes the suggestion of all 3 robots at once. At least that's what she says, because she says she'll do all the above. But it seems like all she did was take Coconut's suggestion, which makes sense since he was always the one smart one. And it was subtly heartwarming of her to humor them all like this. It's not like she's abusive of them. It's so weird. The most genuinely heartwarming parts of the reboot all come from the villains. First Eclipse and now this. Maybe it's because it's not taken for granted from them, and I take them more seriously. Sonic sticks his tongue out at Knuckles in the air. Maybe the reason he isn't just defeating him immediately is that he's having fun, and wants to extend the fight by continuing to have fun. So, is the Eggman thing from the end of the last story just a flash forward? Because you'd have expected Bean to have been called immediately. I mean, that was clearly happening while Fang was having his fight with Knuckles. And we immediately progressed after that to a targeting Reticule beyond Knuckles and Sonic before they hit each other once. This is a continuity error, like the writer realized it'd be a mistake to not show them fight, and retcon the targeting to happen later. This isn't even the first time he's made a retcon issue later. Knuckles is smart enough to say he'll tell Sonic why he's here later since it's too long of a story and he doesn't want to be distracted. It makes sense he missed because Sonic's so fast. Wow, it was really sweet and heartwarming and considerate of Sonic to say, "So if you fix the world, your island falls. Dude, do you want me to throw the fight so you can hurry up and get back to searching?" And then Knuckles says with a sweet smile, "Don't you dare." Aww. But shouldn't it be obvious to Sonic that getting 1 emerald won't make his island fall? Shockingly, Sonic doesn't even seem to know where any of the Gaia temples are, even at this point, when it was so common sense to me that they'd find at least one in Sumerca, that I incorrectly remember Amy as locating a Gaia temple a few miles south back then, not just an emerald. So it's not like he could be told that Angel Island is right above a place where if he put the emerald into the Gaia temple, the island would fall into it without all the Master Emerald pieces there. There's a really good chance it won't happen. But I'm guessing he's saying this with the assumption that it might. This was a really good friendship moment between them. I'm actually impressed. Sonic looks worried and has lines under his eyes, and his palms are up facing him. And Knuckles isn't hitting him afterwards. And Sonic immediately understands his response and says that Knuckles just needs to blow off some steam and is happy to grant the request. Okay, that was the best indication of their friendship being real since the issue where Julie Sue met Sonic and they fist bumped. At least it looks like Sonic's foot hit the back of Knuckles' head here. It's not quite close enough to it. And I don't know why Knuckles' cheek is bruised though. It's not like Sonic's spin dash ran into his fist, which can magically have an invincible force field to protect it from a spin dash apparently, so the next panel was not at all a natural transition from the spin dash one. He just suddenly cut to standing up in front of him. Ooh, we actually see Knuckles' fist hit Sonic's chest, and it really looks like it has impact. Sonic's face even looks in pain. That's better. It feels like this is really faint praise though. Normally this arc makes Sonic the Fighters look like a fantastic story experience, because there, all the hits have impact thanks to the visuals and sound effects. And of course there's no filler downtime cutscenes. So it's nothing but fights that are satisfying to watch. You'd actually get a much better experience watching a playthrough of Sonic the Fighters that's not just Sonic spin dashing to win than you would reading this arc. But here, it's like it was by a different writer entirely. The fights have a decent length, the length that almost every fight should have been. And the art is good sometimes. There's only so interesting a fight between them can look when they're not using their most special abilities. And it's justified that after he injured Amy, he wouldn't drill under the arena again. But as I expected, this didn't top the fight between them at Sonic Underground where they used all the magical powers they were known for. Not just kicking and punching each other like normal people. Ignore the figure 8 feet and pointless spin dash, and this fight could be with anybody functionally. We cut to Bean and Bark at the Casino Power Grid. I love that's in Casino Park and not the predictable Casino Night Zone, by the way. That just went without saying, so I put off mentioning it. But now I'm in a good enough mood to. Bean says that it was crazy of Fang to put the Silent One on watch duty. Okay, if the writer thought this was crazy, why did he write it? It's not funny. But maybe Bean doesn't have a point, because Bark could just smack the wall. And again, we should at least be told that Bark's extremely shy, and that's why he won't even use a speak and say thing to talk from technology. He could type what he wants to say. Fang would force him to start doing that. He's a criminal with a gun. Since when are criminal gangs that accepting? Wait, what the fuck? Apparently... Oh, now I get it. I didn't realize it at first because there wasn't a panel where he was blowing a bubble of gum without making contact with the bomb. He blew a gum bubble and that stuck to the bomb, which is a creative and charming way of letting him stick the bomb to something to make it harder for someone to get off. It's so in character for Bean. But I refuse to buy that anybody would just chuckle and be happy after the gum bubble popped and went all over his face, including on his eyelid. There should have been a text box saying later to explain better how he immediately had tons of bombs stuck to it. I also like the extra detail that Bean said his breath is minty fresh now. And it's surprisingly scary to see Fang holding a realistic sniper weapon with dark lighting. There's an explosion, which fortunately Sonic hears from another room. And at first I wondered why the hell Fang would know Sonic was transforming at night. But oh yeah, he's working for Eggman, so maybe it makes sense that he'd know about the werehog form because the ugly girl would have told Eggman about it, who fortunately believed her instead of thinking it was just an excuse for a loss, like an idiot. And then Eggman might have warned Fang about it just in case he'd need to know about it. This is a good story so far. Huh. This should be standard. This should be most of the issues, not just a few. It's kind of boring, but it's not aggravating. Anyways, I think this is the point where the story will stop being well written, because Fang is forced to talk for a while, risking Sonic hearing him like would be realistic, or at least seeing him. He could have easily shot both Sonic and Knuckles if he didn't waste time talking about it beforehand like a complete amateur. What sniper would do that? At least in Archie, Fang successfully shot Mina, even if he was aiming for Sally. And he successfully shot Sonic with a tranquilizer dart. A bullet would have made actual sense. So, Mako was a complete idiot, and you'd think a psychic would have predicted to use the wrong type of gun. So, wow, actually Mako should have easily killed Sonic in that plan. And if he wanted him alive so he could kill him personally, he would have just done it long before Amy had been able to save him. He would have just teleported to him. Fang was probably just following orders at that time. The point is, I don't find it funny and entertaining to see him not be a great sniper. I always assume he is a great sniper. He's called Fang the Sniper. He didn't talk this much before he shot Sonic with a tranquilizer dart. He then screams when Metal Sonic suddenly bursts through the wall beside him, flying at Sonic. It sure was ill-timed. He probably gave his position away. Eggman could have coordinated all of his bad guys here better. Am I supposed to think Fang was far enough away from Sonic that him not hearing his taunts made sense? I mean, there is a crowd. Maybe the panicking crowd would be too loud for him to hear Fang. I guess he was high enough above him. And if we really wanted to be realistic, hearing an explosion loud enough to be audible from so far away would leave everyone in the room deaf for a while. But we can't have characters in Sonic be deafened temporarily by explosions because that'd be dark, in a series full of dark things happening more often than really lighthearted things. The series is more likely to be dark than heartwarming and sappy. I can only remember the Reboot having memorably sappy moments. And like one time in AOSDH. The heroes being deafened would increase the tension and give them an interesting challenge. They could still keep fighting robots after that. Yeah, there's no excuse then. Rotor or Tails can invent a cure so they don't have to be deafened permanently. What the fuck? Why did Metal Sonic just fly past Sonic and ignore him? Okay, he was meant to go find the vault and get the emerald, but come on, he was built to kill Sonic. You'd think he'd be allowed to ram into Sonic on the way. That'd be easy to draw. Anyways, the interesting idea of someone being in love with him and like him for who he is for a change is actually taken advantage of, because he finds no security there, and the vault door is unlocked. So Breezy wants him to get the emerald. So he breaks the glass to get it, but then Sonic fortunately spin dashes at him. And fortunately he's still tough enough to keep flying after that as if nothing happened. Good, because Sonic appearing out of nowhere and saying nope actually annoyed me. Like it's a Deus Ex Machina, though I might have said the same thing as him. I guess it makes sense Metal will be made able to fly faster than Sonic, so Sonic can't catch up with him, especially since he's got fire behind him, which means he's using his V Maximum Overdrive attack. Which, if I remember correctly, is supposed to make him move 4 times the speed of sound. So, then it's bullshit that Sonic was even so close to him. He would have out. I guess it's different in the reboot. He flies out of the place, but then Tails smacks him with his tail, making him magically lose his grip on the emerald for no reason, even though he's a robot. You'd think he'd keep his grip on it no matter what. It's the only thing he cares about right now. Tails then, out of nowhere, reveals that he knew that the casino had a backup generator. When was he told that? And he had done math to know when it would come back up. It feels like such bullshit he was here. We should have been shown Tails saying he'd go outside to fly around the perimeter of the casino just in case he'd be needed, right after Metal Sonic showed up. I guess he did that because he's smart. What are the chances he was in the perfect place to be right in front of Metal? Metal could have flown out of any part of the casino after getting that emerald. Actually, I just realized, why the hell didn't he just fly straight up immediately after getting the emerald, instead of wasting a bunch of time flying forwards where Sonic could chase him? That just wasted a whole bunch of panels. He would have blasted out the building's roof. And he'd logically be flying so fast, Tails wouldn't be able to catch up with him by flying after him. What are the chances he'd be in the perfect part of the roof to catch him? If Tails was smart, he'd assume Metal was smart because he'd be projecting. So there's no reason he would have assumed Metal would do the stupid thing and fly forwards for a while instead of straight up. He would have been flying over where the Emerald Vault was. You know the writing falls apart when, even though you know you should be glad the villain got defeated, you're mad at the heroes because the victory was too easy. Then again, maybe it's possible that Breezy's backup generators won't kick in, because if she wanted him to get the emerald so badly, she would have obviously been smart enough to anticipate that the backup generators would get in the way of that, and deactivated them. Nope. So we see red vertical lasers in front of the Emerald Vault as a motion detecting security system appears. Then the next panel, there's a slam sound effect and we see red lasers. What made the slam sound effect? Because the laser grid is making a proper sound effect. This panel is way too close up for me to tell properly what's going on in it. And we need to see all of Breezy's mysterious defenses so we believe in them better. Then we see, I guess, giant laser cannons prepare to fire. Where the hell is the force field? If there's no force field, then why wasn't this place nuked by Eggman immediately? Why didn't he send missiles here immediately? If there's a backup system that activates whether Breezy likes it or not, obviously what really would have happened would be that a force field would activate so that Metal wouldn't even have a chance of escaping. It's confusing that Metal's just standing there like a statue and listening to Sonic talk with a smirk about how Metal Sonic is outnumbered. He can move at super speed. Why would a killer robot like him listen to him talk? He says that he'd also have to fight all the security forces that Breezy... I guess she didn't have them disabled because it'd be way too obvious that she was on his side. It's already a risk that she had no security. Oh right, maybe Bean's explosion against the power grid was the real reason there was no security system, but that doesn't explain the vault door being unlocked. Vaults have a specific combination. Metal Sonic didn't have to solve the combination. She did that. She must have turned it to the combination ahead of time. Eggman says the situation's been a disaster and tells Metal to go back to the Death Egg for repairs, as he's got a lead on a new emerald. And he just stands there when Eggman asks if he heard him. This will make me wonder if Metal would furiously try to attack anyway since he was exerting free will. Lucky for him, he's not stupid enough to risk that. Sonic gives Tails the credit for defeating Metal Sonic. Well, that was surprising. The writing was actually creative and original. I never expected that. But one measly hit does not qualify as a fight. But a long fight between Sonic and Metal would be way more boring than one between Sonic and Knuckles due to the inferior dialogue, and them both having basically the same abilities. It's just so ironic that there wasn't any Sonic and Metal fight, and all the focus was on a fight between friends. It was so heartwarmingly accepting of Honey to be excited to design clothes for robots because she never did it before. You know, why couldn't Breezy have been a roboticized person who looks just like an organic? She could still be a robot and have a past as an organic being. I just realized! That'd be brilliant! That'd be the perfect compromise explaining the weird discrepancies with her character. She was happy to work for Eggman and loves Metal Sonic because she's a robot. She's evil and loves Metal Sonic because she's a robot. And since Orbot has free will, she could have it too. So I'm going to go with that interpretation because that'd be great writing. It's the only way her loving Metal Sonic would make sense. And I think Archie, Sonic, and Lion has reboot issues too. Or at least the Sonic Restoration Project they partnered with does. I don't know which it is. So I hope they'll go with that idea. It's the obvious idea of Fragment to have roboticized her and made her look organic like an infiltrator robot so she can fool Sonic. Because if he does that, he can make her tougher. Because she'll have a metal interior. I can't say because he'll be able to have bombs in her to control her with threats. Because if he had enough of a brain to think to do that back then, he would have just blown up the SS squad when they wanted to defect. And AOSCH Robotnik literally did blow them up when they were in space by taking remote control of Grounder and making him fire laser at Scratch. So it doesn't even have to be bombs. Maybe Metal Sonic disabled Eggman's blow up Breezy button for the same reason he gave her an economic empire. He's obviously lonely. Honey bravely points out to Breezy that none of her security outside stopped Metal Sonic after the hooligans suddenly got added overnight. And not one of her badniks took a shot at Metal as he escaped. So she shouldn't blame them for that, though, unless the robots are all capable of fixing a broken robot. I doubt Breezy can do that, so they'd have every reason to choose self-preservation instead. But they have to be able to maintain each other, because otherwise they would have thought their death would be inevitable, Breezy or not, because she's not a mechanic. I didn't know she could change their oil. Anyways, it's brave of Honey to lampshade to Breezy that the heroes came close to losing what's needed to save the world. I'm still mad at her for Tails, though. What does Flynn want with her character? Is this even still by Flynn? Because it's too good for that. First she's evil, and now I'm supposed to think of her as good? Why is Breezy stupid enough to say to her face that she thinks Metal Sonic is robotic perfection? She says she got the attention of the entire world, and she's now worth half this planet, as she has her fingers interlocking. I'm glad Honey's intimidated. I'm really glad Breezy basically calls out Honey as a hypocrite, saying that she took out Tails in short order to advance. So she knows she'll see the wisdom of her words soon enough. She should have said that she was cheating. Good writing would have Honey immediately try and make things up to Tails. It cut to her giving him tons of mint candies and chili dogs and giving him a hug. That'd be good writing. That'd be obvious. She'd apologize to him to make it clear to the audience that she's not supposed to be a psychopath. She's scared of Breezy here, but the way she was so fine with cheating at the fights and went from smiling to being scary in a heartbeat made her come off as an evil person who only pretended to be perky and innocent. Now she's just a good guy? Why is Sonic trying to convince Knuckles? Oh, maybe he thinks Knuckles will have a much faster time going to look for the Emerald Shards in the Sky Patrol, and it's not just that he's that lonely and misses him that much. I was wondering why he was going to slow Knuckles down, having him sit on the Sky Patrol doing nothing like Big, just because he's his friend. Big doing nothing in the Sky Patrol is probably why I was so confused that he asked him to be in there. Because this is a place where two people do nothing. Someone says sorry I'm late, but instead of it being Honey, it's Chip, who's holding a heavy bag for at least a more interesting attempt at comedy. While he made a horrible first impression running away from the Chaotix, after that stupidity-filled arc, he's actually at his best in the reboot. He did make me like him. It helps that he's not just about food anymore. He's cute and harmless as long as I forget how his voice sounds like. But why aren't we seeing Honey? Why is our precious time in comic space wasted with multiple panels where the heroes recap the Chip? The story should have cut ahead after that and shown Honey hugging Tails. It was actually amusing that when Chip asked if anything could go wrong when things are so great, Sonic startles him by turning into the werehog. And all he says is that he has this condition. It's like he's being relatable, like this is usually said in a different context. And then it cuts away instead of making us put up with them hating Sonic and screaming. Then we see Sally look scared and apologize to someone off screen because Sonic isn't back yet. And she fortunately justifies for us that the guy she's talking to doesn't watch TV. And apparently she feels the need to introduce herself to him when he should know who she is. She's a princess. Because he's from another country. So who is this asshole? The asshole royalty from earlier? Broder's abusive father? Or Nicole's abusive father? I heard her creator in the reboot hated her. Oh, never mind. I should have known things wouldn't get that interesting. Why take advantage of one of the reboot's original characters for an original story? Instead, it's a Chekhov's gunman, the Apatow Gaia Temple Guardian, who finally just now says he has arbitrarily secret information on a Gaia Temple location. And it's that late into the reboot, it's probably about to deviate into Worlds Unite and then end at this point. I'm pleasantly surprised that it actually got a chance to end the Sonic the Fighters arc before that, though. I was wondering if Worlds Unite would happen during the arc at this point, and it'd all be a stupid tournament. I heard it was nothing but cameos with no plot. So at that point, why not have those cameos fight the heroes in a tournament and have it be nothing but action scenes? No, that'd be good writing that makes sense. That'd be fast pacing because the cameos would only show up during fights where we get to see them in an action scene. At least the next universe arc will apparently be the Spark of Life. An arc with Sally and Nicole that I heard was good, so I really hope it's good. Because all of the Reboot Sonic Universe arcs have been crap so far. I'm surprised Flynn was able to have a universe arc focusing on the Saturday and Freedom Fighters. Why is that in Sonic Universe instead of the main comic? If he can do that, isn't it weird that he took this long? So this issue was by Ian Flynn, and was good. Great, maybe. The fight between Knuckles and Sonic was of a good length, and we actually got to see a satisfying hit against Sonic. And they hit each other in at least two interesting looking ways. Even if it's really just punches and kicks to avoid damaging the arena and injuring each other. So of course it pales in comparison to the special power-filled Sonic Underground fight. Now, Knuckles could have been fighting a normal person, the plot would have been the same, if with inferior dialogue. I feel like this is all faint praise so far, like, this should be standard. I was shocked that there wasn't a fight with Metal Sonic. Where's the epic climax then? But at least that's creative. But here's where the writing gets a lot more contrived. Metal Sonic's loss of the Emerald, while great for the heroes with the arc's pacing, was such bullshit that I was mad for him anyways. Metal Sonic finds the Emerald thanks to Breezy having the Vault combination be already inputted. And rather than flying straight up through the roof, he flies ahead and risks a bunch of people attacking him. And Tails just so happens to be in the perfect little spot to be right above him to attack him when he flies out of the building. So because he stays lying on the roof instead of getting up to fly away while Tails is talking, the defense system reactivates, and he can't fly away with the Emerald. I guess he was in too much pain to get up. Why'd Eggman make him feel pain? That would obviously be detrimental to his effectiveness in a fight. I guess he didn't have enough comic space thanks to the padding. Because otherwise, you'd think it'd be obvious that you should have a bunch of panels of Tails attacking Metal Sonic. Not waste an equal amount of our time with him making a long speech to him that he should just ignore. And since it's implied that despite the defense system being aimed at Metal Sonic, he was allowed to fly back to Eggman just fine, and no one questioned it. No one questioned why she didn't put up a force field when they could have easily killed him right there, not let him fly back to Eggman. I have to wonder why he didn't just ram into Sonic and interrupt him and then try to fly home on the way at this point. What a moron. Any defenses would have missed him because by the time people would think to fire at him for ramming into Sonic, he'd already be long gone from the spot having flown away. The only people the lasers might hit would be Sonic and Tails themselves. And most importantly, having no indication that there's any kind of force field that's part of her defenses really destroys the believability of the arc. Honey doesn't say, why didn't you put the force field up? So why didn't Eggman easily nuke this place? Why didn't he send a whole bunch of missiles at this place? They would get past her defenses. He could send all of his missiles there at once.